Hello, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. This is going to be the first episode of 2025. And also, I just apologize in advance for deep breaths and my raspy voice. But I know that I'm coming down with like a cold. Everybody's in my family has been sick on and off for a month and a half. And so I know I'm about to get sick. But I was like, I need to record this before I get sick, before I lose my voice. I actually lost my voice for about a week and a half in December. So I'm like, I'm going to record this so that it's not like months that you guys are going with no podcast, because I'm like, I want to get it out there. So today's podcast is going to be all about goal setting. And I would say more specifically, the number one mistake that people make when they are goal setting. And here's what usually happens when they're goal setting. They're just thinking about the future. They're thinking about what is the big goal? What is the big thing that I want to do in 2025? And that's it. And they set the goal. And then they decide, here are a few steps I need to take. Here are the things I need to do in order to reach this goal. But the number one mistake that people make is that they don't go backwards before they go forward. So even if you're setting goals for 2025, you have to go backwards. And let's just say, look at review, right? Reflect on and evaluate 2024. And I would even say you don't have to do this for an entire year. You could be in, let's say, February or March, and you're reflecting back on January or February. But you always want to go backwards before you go forwards, so that you can actually see what is working, what's not working, what didn't work the past times, and what do you want to do moving forward. This way you're avoiding making the same mistakes that you made before. And when you're also setting goals, I also want you guys to think about why it actually matters. Again, I think people are just like, I just want to make like $100,000. I just want to, make $10,000 a month or whatever it is, right? But they're not asking why it matters. And a lot of people are asking me when they do goal settings, like, okay, cool, I'm going to set this goal, but then I lose motivation, or I wake up and I don't want to do this thing. I'm not inspired after a few months and after I fail. And I'm like, that's so normal. It is so normal to not be motivated, to not be inspired. And the number one thing that you need to do when you're in that is to just be committed to your goals, right? So first, you want to be able, don't make the mistake of not reflecting and evaluating the past, so that you can use that as a tool for the future. The second thing is you also want to take a look at why it actually matters that you hit this goal or you don't hit this goal. Because if you don't really are not like sold on this goal of why it matters to you, why is it important? How's it going to change your life? How's it going to change your family's life, your community, your business, your clients' lives? If that is not what your goal is anchored in on, you're not going to be motivated one day and you're not going to show up. You're not going to be inspired one day and you're not going to show up. But when you are so committed to this goal because of the impact, because it's going to change my life, because I'm going to pay off all of this debt, because I'm going to buy a house, because I'm going to go on vacation, because my clients are going to get better, faster goals if I hit this goal, because I'm going to become a better leader, whatever it is, why you want to reach that goal, that is more important than the actual goal itself. Because you cannot get to that goal unless you're so anchored in to stay committed and take consistent action towards that goal. And so with that reflection, okay, evaluating, going backwards, and then also anchoring why you want this goal. And number 3, I would say that when you're goal setting, because a lot of people just ask me, like, how can I reach these goals better and faster? And the only way to do this is simplifying your goals or your steps towards your goals. And what I mean by this is, like, oftentimes people are like, okay, I want to lose whatever, 30 pounds. And they're like, I got to eat better. I got to go work out. I got to drink, 100 gallons of, is that gallons? 100 ounces of water. Like, they start doing a million different things. And it's like, no. Step 1, you might just want to cut out sugar for 2 weeks. That's it. That's step 1. That's the only thing you're going to do for 2 weeks consistently. Or you're only going to do step 1 until it is consistent. And then step 2, and by the way, guys, I'm not a professional nutritionist or workout person. I don't even work out, but that is my goal for this year. But this is just an example, so don't take this as a real life action step, okay? But again, step 1 would just be like, I'm just going to get consistent with not eating processed and artificial sugars. And I'm just going to do this one step until it is consistent. And then once that is consistent, I'm going to go towards step number 2. I'm going to have no gluten. And for me, having gluten is like not good for my body. I do not feel good at all when I eat it. So again, I'm just throwing out examples. Number 2, I'm just not going to eat sugar and gluten consistently. And when I can do both of those consistently, now I'm going to work on number 3. I'm going to eat as much protein as possible. Right? So I'll say I'm going to eat 100 grams of protein and work out at the same time, because you need to work out and you need the calories of protein and you need working out at the same time, and or you're just going to gain more weight, right? And so that might be step number 3. Right? But again, most people are like, I'm going to do all of that all at once. And it's like, if you're trying something new, it's probably not going to work out. If you're trying to do 3 new things all at the same time, it's probably not going to work out. You're going to be unmotivated. You're not going to be inspired. You're going to lose traction, because this strategy is so complex. But do you see how simple it is when you're like, step 1, I'm just going to not have sugar anymore, processed sugar. Step 2, I'm just going to cut out gluten. And then step 3, I'm going to increase my protein and start working out. And then you even want to get more specific, right? So keep it simple. Your action steps, simple and actionable, or not actionable, specific, simple and specific. Okay. For example, if I'm going to say I'm going to work out, I'm not going to be like, I'm going to work out every day. No, I'm going to have the actual exercise routine, and I'm going to see how long it takes, and I'm going to schedule that into my calendar, because those are the actual steps required to work out. Working out is not just like, I'm just going to show up and work out. No, it's, I got to plan ahead. When am I going to work out? For how long? What exercise routine am I going to do? Because again, here's the thing. People don't plan ahead for these things. They're not troubleshooting. This is a concept that I teach called guaranteeing your own successes. You're solving for all of these problems ahead of time. Because how often, for anybody who does work out or who has tried to work out before, you show up to the gym and you're like, oh, what work am I going to do? And then you're sitting on your phone, you're like, okay, I think this workout looks good and this workout looks good, and I think I'm going to try this. And then you're trying out the routine, and then it kind of feels awkward, and you're like, I don't think I'm doing this right. And then by the time you're 1 or 2 hours is up at the gym, you're like, okay, I worked out for 10 minutes, right? And so you want to prepare ahead of time, plan ahead of time to remove as many roadblocks as possible, because the worst thing is to be sitting down at the gym doing your workout and not being able to work out because you don't have a plan, or sitting down to work on your business and not actually knowing what to do, when to do it, how to do it, right? And so again, super quick episode just to help you guys begin to think about goal setting, okay? And in order to goal set, again, we're going to recap super quickly. 1, you want to reflect and evaluate on the past so you can use that as a tool for the future. And then 2, you also want to create a simple strategy, okay? And a simple strategy means just the essential steps. You want to keep it simple and specific so that you can continue to make progress forward. And I think, that was number 3, but in between, step 2 is really anchoring in on the why, okay? So I'm going to repeat it again. Step 1 is reflecting and evaluating on the past so that you can use it as a tool for the future. Step 2 is anchoring in on why your goal matters. And then step 3 is creating a simple and specific strategy and roadmap for executing on that goal.